Nearly a month into Canada's mandatory quarantine program for travelers, CityNews has learned the government has issued at least 15 tickets under the Quarantine Act for breaking the rules. But as some travelers face fines, the Canadian Constitutional Foundation is challenging whether a forced stay at a quarantine hotel is legal. The CCF and 5 people who have just returned from traveling or imminently need to travel are taking the government to court.
On the second day, he got his test results and they were negative, so he was expecting to leave, which was a Sunday. We thought he was going to come back home, and he hasn't.
That is the voice of Daniel Page's wife, Nicole, who's desperately awaiting the return of her husband. Daniel was in Alabama for his mother's funeral and, as per government guidelines, checked into a quarantine hotel on his return a week ago. But after receiving a negative COVID test 2 days into his stay, he's still there and hasn't gotten any indication of when he'll be able to leave.
I'm just so concerned for him right now with the loss of his mother, and then we have our little boy here. He's missing him terribly, and it's just really heartbreaking.
We reached out to the Public Health Agency of Canada, and they told CityNews that the agency is aware of the situation and is looking into it. Daniel is just one of many people upset about this new rule for travelers, prompting the Canadian Constitution Foundation to act.
The rules are redundant because travelers are already required to test negative for COVID-19 before arriving, upon arriving, and to quarantine at home. And these new rules, along with the $2,000 fee, which each traveler is charged, have a cruel effect on individuals who have to leave the country for compassionate reasons.
Barron says the 5 people involved in their lawsuit have hefty quarantine hotel bills. She says each of them left the country to deal with urgent family matters. They decided to stay at the hotels on their return to avoid facing penalties, which are commonly $3,000 but can go as high as $750,000 with the possibility of prison time under the Quarantine Act.
First of all, there's been a lot of inconsistency in how these fines have been applied. We've heard it is true. Some people have said you'll be fined $800, but Public Health Agency of Canada is free to follow up with you and fine you, I think, up to $1,500 a day for violations of the Quarantine Act. So we certainly don't recommend breaking the law. We do hope that we'll have a favorable outcome, that this law will be struck down as unconstitutional.
The Canadian Constitution Foundation has applied for an urgent injunction and are currently waiting for a hearing date. In Toronto, I'm Rowe for City News.